Whereabouts are you at the moment?
I'm at home here in Atascadero, California, about halfway between Los Angeles and San Francisco, about 20 miles from the beach. It's just turning into summer, so it's beautiful today. And yeah, life's good.
Nice. Complete opposite here. I'm freezing. I'm in normally warm Brisbane. You know it's bad when the jumper and the battle vest comes out. Like,
Yeah, especially for Brisbane because you guys have mild weather all the time. Shit.
yeah, man, we are not used to it. Um, Mate, I have just been cranking a bit of red asphalt. Now, this might be really showing my generation, but when I was growing up, there was an extremely controversial racing game came out in the late 90s called Carmageddon, where you could run over pedestrians.
Oh,
And
okay.
the opening, the cover art of Red Asphalt is you would have been perfect for it. So let's talk about the album, my dude. What inspired it? Why the car theme?
Well, we were on tour for the last record for To the Dead, and Ross was listening to Gore, and they have a song called "The Road Behind," which is like it's like a Deadpool and Wolverine thing in that it makes fun of a thing while doing the thing that it's making fun of really well. In this case, it is a rock, road ballad, and and he was like, "How come there's no death metal road ballads? Like, death metal bands are on tour all the time." And so we started talking about it, and we're like, "What would that even be called?" And I was like, "Oh, it'd be called Red Asphalt." We all thought that was kind of funny. Um, and then actually, after we were in Australia, we flew back into Los Angeles, and we had a 3-hour drive up here. And it's like a 16-hour flight to Los Angeles. You're gaining a whole day of time. So we were completely disoriented, just kind of loopy, from the trip. And we were driving back up here, and we were talking about Red Asphalt just to stay awake. And the more we talked about it, we're like, "Oh my God, this is it. Like, this is what we're going to do the next album." I mean, we were so out of our minds. The next day, I barely remembered any of what we said. But at the time, it was like, "Holy shit, we're fucking geniuses, man. This is amazing." um, but it just made sense because, obviously we spent a lot of time traveling. That's tour, at least 60 to 70% of being on tour is getting from the place you were to the next place. And especially in America, I think Australia is probably not that different. The roadway is probably the place where the average person is most likely to get killed, or see somebody get killed, or see somebody get dismembered, maimed, mutilated, crushed, pulverized, all that good stuff. And Americans, we have a big love affair with the road and cars and traveling by car. And so I thought, it's fun to sort of subvert that romance of the open road and the
Yeah.
great American road trip and all that stuff. And think about the worst trips you could possibly go on. And it just, as soon as we figured out what the album was sort of going to be about, then, the writing just started coming really fast, and it was really fun to put together.
It's funny you mentioned that with Australia. We are famous for having horrifying road safety commercials. We started them in the 90s, like I think late 80s, early 90s. And
Okay.
like by international standards, they'll occasionally get posted by Americans on Reddit and be like, Jesus Christ, Australia, what the hell? These used to traumatize me when I was a kid, but they're on YouTube. Like we did not fuck around, but
That's
those
cool.
ads halved the road toll. Like, because they were so horrifying. People were like, all right, I'll wear a seatbelt. Jesus Christ.
You guys have, like the United States, you guys have vast stretches of emptiness with just highways going through them, where you're either moving or you're on some sort of long haul road trip or you're a trucker. you
Uh,
know um, and also, I mean, you guys had Mad Max and Mad Max 2. I mean, we call it Road Warrior, but you know what I mean,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
which was a big thing that we talked about when we were getting ready to do this record. And I discovered another Australian road movie called Road Games,
Oh,
for
yes.
that. from the 70s with Stacy Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis, which is weird. It's an Australian movie about two Americans, but anyway,
It was called Ozploitation. So it was apparently a big thing in the 70s where we were like, yeah, let's get people filming stuff down here. And so do you get Quentin Tarantino talking about Australian films? I'm pretty sure Road Games is one of them. He's fucking
okay,
lovely.
cool.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. There's like this dude's a trucker and there's a serial killer out there, and she's the daughter of an American diplomat who's like this wild child, and he's got a pet dingo and he's trying to get meat to Perth during a meat packing strike. He's got like the only bacon in the, on the west side of the country. Anyway, it's weird and slimy and sleazy and super fun. So yeah, I mean, that was the thing, is we just went off on like, rewatching The Hitcher, and Red Asphalt was a road safety film series here in the United States that was like during my dad's generation, it got started.
Mm.
And, they were showing these films to high schoolers in the 60s before there was even like Blood Feast, by Herschel Gordon Lewis or anything. So, there was no gory movies. Kids in high school were, puking and fainting and stuff because they were just like, all right, it's right before lunch, time to watch this guy get his fucking arm ripped off by a truck. And people were like, what the fuck? So, it's just, it just became such a rich vein for us to tap into. And, there was just so much stuff around it. And the great thing about the Red Asphalt movies is that because they're educational films, they're in the public domain. So we can, we use them to cut, the Iron Graveyard video, and we use them on stage and stuff. So because they're not copyrighted, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, opens public domain. Get it.
Yeah.
Mate, I knew to researching the band, I was like, I know we're going to end up talking about horror movies. So and fuck it, why not? See, I wonder, like, I remember when Hostel came out and the rise of Gornos, the modern Gorno, because I was too young for splatter films and stuff. I only got caught up with that stuff later in life. So, yeah, Hostel was quite eye-opening when I saw that as a teenager. So I wonder did you find that stimulating? Do you enjoy modern horror? Let's talk.
I enjoy some of it. I do like Hostel. Like Terrifier, I think I like the gore and I enjoy watching it. I don't think it's a good movie. That doesn't stop me from having a good time watching it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think the clown thing is kind of tired, but whatever. Like, I just like seeing people get dismembered. That's always fun. Probably the best, or the modern horror movie I like the most, honestly, was probably Midsummer, because it's like an update on The Wicker Man, and I love the idea that it's a horror movie where everything is bright and colorful.
Yeah,
and not,
during the day, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really clever. I like The Witch a lot as well, in terms of actually being scared. But yeah, I mean, I recently saw a movie called Box Cutter, which is an underground film. Really, really good movie. I thought it was going to be like a slasher thing from the title, but it's more of a slow burn kind of, you actually care about the characters, and then they start getting, in trouble, and you're like, oh shit. That one really impressed me, especially because it is so independent,
Yeah.
But mostly I've been going the opposite way. I started with, the stuff that was current when I was a kid, which was, Nightmare on Elm Street at first, and Friday the 13th. And then, quickly was like Reanimator, From Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Brain Dead, Bad Taste. Those were like, movies that we just worshipped as kids. And then in the 90s, before Hostel, there's kind of that dry spell where horror became sort of ironic and not very gory, that's kind of when I lost interest, to be honest.
Yeah. So when Scream came in and started making it satirizing around 96, you were like,
yeah, that was definitely when it was weird, because like the two things that I really loved, death metal and horror, I thought were really kind of hitting a low point. in the
Mm.
mid 90s. And the other thing, my other love is like comic books, which were also hitting a low point in the mid 90s. So it was a shitty time to be like, all right, I'm 20, I'm 21, I'm in the prime of my life. Oh, everything I like sucks. Fuck.
Ah!
You know, it would stick with it long enough and it all comes back around. You know, but yeah, I think Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and all those movies where there's a bit of a sense of humor, I think really influenced what we were doing since the beginning, you know, because we've always had a bit of a, you know, tongue in cheek kind of thing going. You know, we don't take ourselves too terribly seriously.
Are you ready for a smooth fucking segue? Watch
Oh
this.
yeah.
Are you ready? Ready? Well, so
I'm
you mentioned bad taste in the films of Peter Jackson, and well, wouldn't you know, you're going to New Zealand for the first time, and what a
Bam!
segue! Let's talk
Professional.
about it. What are your impressions of New Zealand?
You know, I've never been there, but my impression is that it's probably super laid back because Australia is already very laid back, and New Zealand is like, you know, I think of it as like Australia is Canada, so it's probably even more chill. It looks
How come
beautiful.
they
We're
get to be Canada?
gonna, well, you know, hey, you guys are like the alternate universe, better outcome version of the United States, I think. Um,
I'll take it.
I might not have said that 10 years ago, but yeah, but now definitely. Um, and it looks beautiful there, you know. So we're going to do some of the Lord of the Rings tourism and stuff. And yeah, no, I'm just really excited. It looks gorgeous. And it's someplace that, you know, the first couple of times coming to Australia, it seemed so exotic. Like, I don't know when I'm going to come back. And I was always like, man, I wish we could have just gone to New Zealand too, because how many times am I going to go down there? You know. That said, I mean, we love coming to Australia, and you know, hopefully, you know, keep it a semi-regular thing because it's great to be down there. You know.
Awesome. Matt, this has been great. I will be seeing you in Brisbane. So
Fuck
thank you
yeah.
very much for your time. And thank you for chatting shit about horror movies for 10 minutes with me. It's what I like to
You
do.
did it single day, man. Maybe we will in Brizzy.
Awesome, mate. Be good.
All
Talk to you
right.
soon.
Cheers, man.